once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." That's not just a pretty quote, that's the blueprint. Joy doesn't come from everything being easy. It comes from your choices in the middle of hard, from how you see what's happening to you, from having the courage to build differently than everyone around you who's just surviving. Right now, this second, you're standing at a choice point. One direction keeps you exactly where you are. Waiting, hoping, wondering why nothing changes. The other direction? Completely different territory, a life where you own your happiness, where it doesn't depend on whether people like you, whether your circumstances are perfect, whether everything works out exactly as planned. And let me be straight with you, this isn't about pretending. This isn't toxic positivity where you smile through pain and call it growth. This is about becoming someone strong enough to hold both at once. Pain and joy, struggle and contentment, building happiness that doesn't shatter the second something goes wrong. These 10 lessons are your tools, real usable ways to construct a life that actually feels good to live. Not surface level good, deep good, the kind that gets stronger when tested. The kind you don't need to prove to anyone because you feel it every single day. Before we start building, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment and be honest with me. I choose to architect my own joy. Share this with someone who needs it. Subscribe because we're not playing games here. We're building a movement of people who refuse to be victims anymore. And stay through all 10 lessons. Don't skip. Each one matters. Your happiness doesn't need a miracle. It needs your decision. And that decision starts right here, right now, with lesson 1. Number 1. Design your joy by mastering your inner weather. Listen, there's an invisible force following you everywhere. It decides if your day feels light or suffocating, if moments energize you or drain you completely. Most people don't even know it exists. I'm talking about your inner weather. There's a line from Rumi that changes everything. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. Your inner weather isn't your circumstances. It's the emotional temperature you carry inside, the mental atmosphere that makes everything feel harder or easier. And right now, you're probably letting every external thing control it. Someone disrespects you. Instant storm clouds. Plans collapse. Thunder rolls in. Good news arrives. Brief sunshine. Then something else happens and the cycle repeats. You're not controlling your climate. You're being controlled by it. This is where happiness dies. When your inner weather depends on outer conditions, you're building on sand. One bad moment and everything crumbles. Here's the shift. You can't control what happens outside, but you absolutely control what happens inside. I'm not talking about faking positivity, forcing smiles through pain. That's denial, and it destroys you slowly. Real mastery means feeling everything without letting everything destroy you. Think about the ocean floor. Waves crash above, storms rage on the surface, but deep down, completely still. That's what we're building, not immunity to pain, a foundation that holds when everything crashes. Here's how you practice this today. When something triggers you, pause for 3 seconds. Notice where you feel it physically. Tight chest, clenched jaw, knotted stomach. Just observe without judgment. Then ask, what weather am I creating right now? You're waiting in line. Someone's taking forever, complaining about prices, holding everyone up. Frustration builds. In that pause, you see 2 paths. Feed the frustration until it ruins your next hour, or acknowledge it's there, breathe, and let it pass. Same moment, different weather. Your choice. This takes practice. You've run on autopilot for years. But every time you pause, every time you choose instead of react, you get stronger. Here's what changes. Criticism stings, but doesn't destroy you. Disappointment hurts, but doesn't spiral into despair. Joy stops feeling fragile because it's not depending on perfection. Your happiness becomes weather-resistant, not because storms stop, because you've built real shelter. Tonight, check your inner weather. What climate did you carry today? Just notice. Tomorrow, before anything demands your attention, set your intention. Today, I choose calm strength, whatever resonates. Then return to it all day. When pressure comes, remember, you decide what atmosphere you live in. This is designing joy, not controlling everything outside, mastering what happens inside, one choice at a time. Take a deep breath and speak this into your life. Then drop this affirmation in the comments so you're not just saying it, you're claiming it. My inner climate is mine to tend. Number 2, find joy by reducing unnecessary desires. You're carrying weight you don't even notice anymore. It's been there so long it feels normal, like part of your skin, but it's not. It's all the stuff you were taught to want, goals that got planted in you, a version of happiness that was never actually yours. Lao Tzu said it perfectly. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Look at what you're chasing right now. Really look. How much of it did you actually choose? How much showed up because someone else said you should want it? How much are you pursuing just because you've been pursuing it so long that quitting feels like giving up? Most people are running races they never signed up for, exhausted, burnt out. And when they finally cross the finish line, it feels empty. Why? Because they were running towards someone else's dream while their own soul was screaming a different direction. Here's the truth. Joy doesn't grow with accumulation. It grows with release. Think about trees in fall. They don't panic when leaves drop. They don't cling desperately trying to keep every single one. They let go, release what's no longer serving them, and in that release, they save energy for what actually matters. Roots, core, real growth. You need to become like that. Let go of desires draining you. Release wants that were never authentically yours. Make space for the few things that genuinely light your soul on fire. This isn't about killing ambition. It's about getting brutally honest about what you're ambitious for. Are you chasing money for real freedom, or because society programmed you to measure worth in bank accounts? Are you hunting status because it fulfills you, or because being invisible terrifies you? Are you seeking approval because connection matters, or because you forgot how to validate yourself? Strip everything non-essential, everything that's someone else's definition of success, everything you're chasing from fear instead of genuine desire. What's left? That's your real blueprint. Try this tonight. Write 10 things you're currently wanting. Next to each one, ask why. Not the surface answer, the real one underneath. I want a promotion. Why? To feel valuable. Why? So others see I matter. Why do you need others to see it? Keep going until you hit bottom. Usually you'll realize what you actually want doesn't require what you thought you needed. You don't need the promotion. You need to value yourself. And that doesn't come from a title. It comes from living aligned with who you actually are. When you cut unnecessary desires, something shifts. Your attention stops scattering across 1,000 wants. It focuses, intensifies on what genuinely matters. Suddenly you have energy you forgot existed. You stop comparing because you're not playing everyone else's game anymore. You stop feeling deprived because you're not measuring yourself against manufactured standards. You stop postponing happiness because you're not conditioning it on getting specific things. This week, try desire fasting. Pick one day. Want nothing beyond what you already have. Don't browse. Don't scroll enviously. Don't fantasize about different circumstances. Just be present with what is. It'll feel weird. We're addicted to wanting, trained to always need more, better, different. But push through. On the other side is something profound. You already have so much. Not everything, not perfection, but enough. Way more than enough. When enough becomes your baseline instead of your disappointment, joy floods in. You stop postponing contentment. You experience it now with what's already in your hands. Real wealth isn't what you own. It's how little you need to feel complete. The person requiring the least from outside to feel peace inside. That's the richest person alive. Reduce your desires not because wanting is bad, because most of what you want is crushing you, creating constant lack, not enoughness, waiting for life to start once you finally have it all. Life isn't waiting. It's happening now. And happiness is here, but only if you're not too busy wanting something else to see it. Number 3. Find happiness through inner strength, not outer control. You're bleeding energy trying to control everything, making people act right, guaranteeing outcomes, preventing disasters, forcing life to follow your plan. Every ounce you pour into controlling the uncontrollable is stolen from building something that actually matters. Buddha taught this thousands of years ago. You only lose what you cling to. Here's what hurts to hear. You control almost nothing, not people's choices, not whether opportunities arrive, not if your plans work, not who stays or leaves, not if loss comes knocking. You control shockingly little of what happens. But you control everything about who you become in response. That's where your real power lives, not manipulating circumstances, strengthening character, not forcing outcomes, building an inner foundation so solid that no external earthquake can topple you. Most people have this completely backwards. They spend 98% of their energy controlling the 2% that's actually controllable, while ignoring the 2% that would transform their lives. Their responses, their perspectives, their resilience, their growth. Picture someone facing betrayal. Person 1 obsesses over the betrayer, what they did, why they did it, how to make them hurt, how to force an apology. They're drowning, pouring energy into things they can't control. Person 2 feels the same pain, but redirects their energy inward. I can't control what they did, but I control how I heal, whether I become bitter or stronger, what I learn, who I become through this fire. Same betrayal, totally different outcome. One tries controlling externals, the other builds internals. Your happiness will never be secure if it depends on controlling outside things. People disappoint. Plans crumble. Loss arrives. Change is guaranteed. But who you are, the strength you build, the character you forge, nobody touches that unless you let them. Practice this now. When anxiety rises, trace it back. What are you trying to control? Write it down. Then ask honestly, is this actually in my power? If no, you have 2 choices. Keep suffering by fighting reality, or accept reality and redirect your power toward what you can influence. Your effort, your attitude, your next move, your growth. If yes, act immediately. Don't worry, act. Then release attachment to the outcome. This distinction is freedom. When you stop gripping what was never yours, your hands are finally free to build something real. Your inner fortress, your unshakable center, strength that doesn't need perfect conditions. Here's what shifts. Criticism comes. Instead of collapsing or defending desperately, you examine it calmly. Is there truth here? No? Released? Yes? Integrated, and I grow. Rejection arrives. Instead of spiraling into unworthiness, you see it as information. Not aligned, that's fine. I keep moving toward what is. Failure happens. Instead of evidence you're broken, you see data. That didn't work. What adjusts? How do I strengthen my approach? You become unshakable, not because nothing shakes you, because your foundation is built on things that can't be taken: your integrity, your effort, your character, your choice about who you're becoming. The world does what it does. People are who they are. Circumstances unfold beyond you. Let them. Stop fighting, stop forcing, stop exhausting yourself controlling the uncontrollable. Take all that energy and invest where it pays real dividends: in you, your resilience, your strength, becoming so solid that external chaos can't crack your core. That's where happiness lives, not in perfectly controlled life, in unshakably strong self. Build that. Invest there. Everything else is weather passing through. Number 4. Honor the present moment as your true home. You're not actually living in your life right now, are you? You're somewhere else, replaying yesterday's argument in your mind, rehearsing what you'll say next week, regretting decisions from 3 years ago, worrying about bills that aren't due yet. Your body is here, but your consciousness is scattered across time. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." This might be the most stolen aspect of your happiness. The present moment, the only place where life actually happens, the only time you can actually experience joy. And you're missing it because you've been trained to exist anywhere but here. Think about the last meal you ate. Do you remember tasting it? Or were you mentally elsewhere, just mechanically consuming food while your mind worried about tomorrow's responsibilities? Did you notice the warmth, the flavors, the nourishment entering your body? Or did the entire experience pass by unnoticed? That's not living. That's being absent from your own existence. Every moment you spend lost in past regret or future anxiety is a moment you're homeless, because the present moment is your only true home. It's the only place you can actually rest, the only place where peace is available, the only place where joy can find you. But we've been conditioned to abandon it constantly. Productivity culture screams that now isn't enough. You should be planning, hustling toward tomorrow. Technology trains you to capture moments instead of inhabiting them. Old wounds keep dragging you backward. Future fears keep shoving you forward. And meanwhile, your actual life is happening right now, unseen, unfelt, unlived. Joy lives in the present tense, always. It's never in the past, which only holds fading memories. It's never in the future, which only holds imagination and worry. It's here, now, in this breath, this heartbeat, this moment of being alive. When you learn to come home to the present, everything transforms. Colors become more vivid, simple pleasures become profound, because you're actually here to experience them instead of being mentally scattered across yesterday and tomorrow. Here's how you start reclaiming your presence. Throughout your day, pause deliberately. Take 3 conscious breaths. Notice 5 things you can sense right now. The temperature against your skin, the weight of your body, the rhythm of your breathing, the sensation of simply existing. You're not doing this to accomplish anything. You're doing it to arrive, to come back to the only moment where you actually exist. Practice single tasking like it's sacred. When you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. When you're with someone, be fully there with them. Not partially present while your mind runs elsewhere. Fully there. You'll be shocked by how unusual this feels, how rare full presence has become. Multitasking has been so normalized that giving complete attention to one thing feels almost revolutionary. But here's what happens when you practice this consistently. Anxiety decreases dramatically, because anxiety lives in the future, in catastrophizing about events that haven't happened. When you're genuinely present, there's usually nothing actually wrong right now. Right now you're breathing. Right now you're okay. Right now, this moment is manageable. Regret loosens its grip, because regret lives in the past, in replaying unchangeable events. When you're genuinely present, the past becomes information instead of identity. Something that occurred, not something that defines who you are. Joy becomes accessible, because joy doesn't require perfect circumstances. It requires presence. A sunrise is only beautiful if you're actually witnessing it. Food is only satisfying if you're actually tasting it. Music is only moving if you're actually hearing it. Life is only lived if you're actually in it. The present moment isn't always pleasant. Sometimes it holds pain, discomfort, difficulty. But even then, presence is your power. Because when you're present with pain, you can actually process it. When you're avoiding it, running from it mentally, it follows you everywhere like a shadow. When you turn toward it with presence, it can transform. Tonight, create a presence ritual. 5 minutes before sleep, sit quietly. Don't force meditation if that doesn't resonate. Just sit. Notice what it feels like to be alive in this specific moment. The weight of your body, the rhythm of breath, the temperature of air, the simple fact of existence. You're not trying to achieve anything, you're just practicing being here, in your life, in this moment, in your one true home. Tomorrow, carry that practice into ordinary moments. Washing your hands, feel the water temperature. Walking upstairs, feel each step. Drinking something, taste it fully. These aren't wasted moments. These are your life, and your life deserves to be lived, not just endured. The ancient masters knew this deeply. Happiness isn't waiting for you in some imagined future when everything aligns perfectly. It's available right now, in this breath, if you're present enough to receive it. Stop abandoning the present for a future that only exists in your mind, or a past that only exists in memory. Come home. Come home to now. Come home to the only moment where joy can actually meet you. Number 5. Cultivate a quiet courage within your heart. There's a kind of courage that nobody applauds. It doesn't look heroic from the outside. It doesn't make headlines or earn recognition. But it's the courage that actually builds a joyful life. The courage to keep going when nobody's watching. The courage to stay true when compromise would be easier. The courage to remain open when closing off would feel safer. Seneca said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." Most people think courage is loud, dramatic gestures, big moments, standing on stages, making bold declarations. But real courage, the kind that designs lasting happiness, is quiet. It happens in private moments when you choose who you want to be over who your pain is trying to make you. It's the courage to forgive when resentment feels justified. The courage to try again after devastating failure. The courage to be vulnerable when walls feel more protective. The courage to hope when cynicism feels more intelligent. The courage to love when loss has taught you how much love can cost. This quiet courage isn't about never feeling afraid. It's about feeling the fear and choosing your values anyway. It's about your hands shaking while you do the thing that terrifies you. It's about your voice trembling while you speak your truth. It's about moving forward while everything in you screams to retreat. You need this courage to build happiness because happiness requires risk. Risk of disappointment, risk of being hurt again, risk of hoping and being wrong, risk of trying and failing, risk of opening your heart in a world that sometimes breaks hearts. Without courage, you'll choose safety over growth, comfort over truth, numbness over feeling. And those choices create a small, protected life that never quite feels alive. Think about where you're playing it safe right now. Where are you choosing the known misery over the unknown possibility? Where are you letting fear make your decisions? Where are you protecting yourself so carefully that you're also protecting yourself from joy? Start cultivating your quiet courage today, not through grand gestures, but through small acts of bravery. Face the situation you've been avoiding. Try the thing you've been postponing. Admit the feeling you've been hiding. Take the step you've been delaying. Each small act of courage strengthens your capacity for bigger ones. It's like building muscle. You don't start by lifting the heaviest weight. You start with what you can handle, then gradually increase. Your courage grows the same way. Here's a practice that builds courage daily. Each morning, identify one thing that creates that uncomfortable flutter of fear. Not something that terrifies you into paralysis, but something that makes you nervous. Maybe it's starting that creative project, addressing that unresolved issue, making that difficult decision. Whatever it is, do it before noon. Don't wait until you feel ready. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action despite fear. You do the thing while afraid, and then you discover you're stronger than you believed. That discovery builds confidence, and confidence makes the next courageous act slightly easier. Watch what happens when you live with quiet courage. You stop waiting for permission. You stop needing guarantees. You stop requiring perfect conditions. You start trusting yourself to handle whatever comes. And that trust is freedom. Relationships deepen because you're brave enough to be authentic. Growth accelerates because you're willing to be uncomfortable. Joy expands because you're not hiding from life, you're engaging with it fully. The quiet courage to keep choosing love when you've been hurt. The quiet courage to keep showing up when results aren't immediate. The quiet courage to remain yourself when conformity would be easier. The quiet courage to believe in possibilities when evidence suggests otherwise. This isn't naivety. This isn't blind optimism. This is the mature courage of someone who's been broken and chosen to heal anyway, who's been disappointed and chosen to hope anyway, who's been betrayed and chosen to trust wisely anyway. Your happiness requires this courage, because happiness isn't a safe, comfortable state you can maintain by avoiding all risk. It's an alive, dynamic experience that requires you to keep opening, keep trying, keep believing, keep growing. Cultivate your quiet courage like tending a flame in the wind. Protect it from the voices that tell you to give up. Feed it with small, brave acts. Let it warm you when everything feels cold. And watch it slowly, steadily illuminate a path toward the life you actually want to live. Comment this affirmation to anchor it into your life. Sometimes the simple act of typing the words is the first step toward the transformation you've been praying for. Quiet courage lives in my heart. Number 6. Practice emotional temperance to protect your peace. There's a wildness inside you, emotions that surge without warning, feelings that flood your system and hijack your clarity, reactions that explode before you even realize they're coming. And while feeling deeply is part of being human, letting every emotion run wild through your life is destroying your peace. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Emotional temperance isn't about suppression. It's not about becoming cold or detached or robotic. It's about developing the capacity to feel everything without letting everything control you. It's about holding your emotions with awareness instead of being held hostage by them. Think about fire. Contained in a fireplace, it warms your home. Uncontained, it burns everything down. Your emotions work exactly the same way. Feel them, honor them, but contain them wisely. Don't let one moment of anger incinerate relationships you've built over years. Don't let one wave of sadness convince you that all hope is gone. Don't let one spike of fear paralyze you from moving forward. Most people swing between two extremes. Either they're completely reactive, erupting at every trigger, drowning in every feeling, or they're completely shut down, numb, disconnected, pretending nothing affects them. Both extremes steal your peace. Emotional temperance is the middle path, the place where you can feel intensely without acting impulsively, where you can acknowledge pain without letting it dictate your decisions, where you can experience joy without clinging to it desperately. Here's what this looks like in practice. Something happens that triggers rage. In the old pattern, you'd explode immediately. Words you can't take back, actions you'll regret, damage that takes months to repair. In the new pattern, you feel the rage rising. You recognize it. This is fury. It's here. It's valid. Then you pause. You breathe. You let the intensity peak and begin to subside before you respond. You're not denying the anger. You're not pretending it doesn't exist. You're just refusing to let it make choices for you while it's at its peak. You're waiting for the temperature to drop enough that you can respond with intention instead of just reacting with explosion. This takes practice. Your emotions have been running the show for a long time. They're used to immediate expression without any filter. Teaching them temperance feels unnatural at first. Start with this awareness exercise. When a strong emotion arrives, rate its intensity on a scale of 1 to 10. Just that simple act of assessment creates distance. You're observing the emotion instead of being completely consumed by it. This anxiety is at a 7 right now. That's different from I am anxiety. Then track it. Watch the intensity rise and fall. Emotions are waves. They crest, they crash, they recede. When you're inside the wave, it feels permanent. When you watch the wave, you realize it's temporary. This too will pass. It always does. Here's what changes with emotional temperance. You stop making decisions you regret because you stopped making them at emotional peaks. You stop saying things that damage relationships because you stopped speaking from pure reactivity. You stop abandoning your goals because you stopped letting temporary discouragement convince you it's permanent impossibility. Your peace becomes protected. Not because nothing disturbs it, but because you've learned not to disturb it further by reacting wildly to every disturbance. Practice the pause. Between stimulus and response, insert space. Something triggers you. Before you react, count to 10. Breathe deeply 5 times. Walk around the block. Journal for 3 minutes. Do whatever creates enough space for the emotional intensity to drop from a 10 to a 6. You'll still respond, you'll still address what needs addressing, but you'll do it from a place of clarity instead of chaos, from intention instead of impulse, from strength instead of being overwhelmed. This doesn't make you weak, it makes you powerful, because true power isn't explosive reactivity. True power is the ability to feel everything and still choose your response. To be moved by emotion without being controlled by it. To honor your feelings without being imprisoned by them. Tonight, reflect on recent moments when emotions hijacked you. What would have changed if you'd practiced temperance? What would you have done differently? Not to shame yourself, but to learn, to prepare for the next time. Because there will be a next time. Triggers will come, strong emotions will surge, that's guaranteed. But whether they control you or you contain them wisely, that's entirely up to you. Protect your peace by practicing emotional temperance. Feel deeply, but respond wisely. Honor your emotions, but don't let them make all your decisions. Be human in your feeling, but be deliberate in your responding. Number 7. Cultivate a stoic gratitude that deepens your joy. You're surrounded by miracles you've stopped noticing, blessings you've stopped appreciating, gifts you've started taking for granted, and that blindness to what you have is quietly stealing your happiness while you're busy noticing what you lack. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Gratitude isn't just saying thank you. It's not a polite gesture or a social nicety. It's a fundamental reorientation of how you see your life. It's training your attention to notice abundance instead of absence, presence instead of lack, what's working instead of only what's broken. Most people's default setting is deficit-focused. They wake up and immediately catalog what's wrong, what's missing, what's not good enough, what needs fixing, what's disappointing. Their attention is a spotlight that only illuminates problems, and whatever you focus on expands. Focus on lack, you'll find more lack. Focus on problems, you'll discover more problems. Focus on what's not working, and you'll miss everything that is. Stoic gratitude flips this completely. It's not naive positivity that pretends difficulties don't exist. It's a deliberate practice of noticing what's present before you fixate on what's absent. It's acknowledging the good that exists even while you work to improve what isn't good yet. Here's the practice that transforms everything. Tonight, before sleep, identify 3 specific things from today that you're grateful for. But not generic things, not "I'm grateful for my family" or "I'm grateful for my health." Those are too broad, too automatic. They don't create real feeling. Get specific. I'm grateful for the way sunlight hit the kitchen counter this morning and made everything look golden. I'm grateful that when I dropped my keys, a stranger picked them up and handed them back with a smile. I'm grateful for the moment of quiet I had with my morning coffee before the day's chaos began. Specific gratitude creates feeling. Generic gratitude stays in your head. You want this in your heart, in your body, changing how you experience your life. Do this every night for 30 days. Watch what happens. Your brain starts looking for things to be grateful for during the day because it knows you'll need 3 specific things tonight. You start noticing small beauties you were walking past, small kindnesses you were overlooking, small moments of grace you were missing entirely. Your attention retrains itself. Instead of scanning for threats and problems, it starts scanning for gifts and grace. And suddenly your life looks completely different. Not because your circumstances changed, but because your perception did. Here's the deeper layer. Practice gratitude not just for good things, but for difficult things that taught you something. I'm grateful for that failure because it showed me what I needed to strengthen. I'm grateful for that loss because it revealed who truly shows up for me. I'm grateful for that struggle because it proved I'm stronger than I believed. This isn't toxic positivity, this is mature wisdom. Acknowledging that growth often comes through difficulty, that some of your greatest gifts arrived wrapped in painful packages, that the hard seasons shaped you in ways the easy ones never could. When you can find gratitude even in difficulty, you become unbreakable, because you've learned to extract value from everything, to find meaning in all of it, to let nothing be wasted. Your joy deepens because it's no longer dependent on everything being perfect. You can be grateful for what's good while working on what isn't. You can appreciate what you have while building toward what you want. You can hold both at once. Start each morning with this question: what do I get to experience today? Not what do I have to do, but what do I get to do? That subtle shift changes everything, from obligation to privilege, from burden to opportunity, from resentment to appreciation. You get to breathe, you get to witness another day, you get to try again, you get to love, you get to grow, you get to be alive during this strange, beautiful, difficult, miraculous moment in history. Cultivate this gratitude like tending a garden, daily, deliberately. Watch it grow. Watch it transform your entire relationship with your life. Watch it create joy that doesn't require perfect conditions, just present awareness. Number 8. Accept impermanence to free your heart. Everything you love will change. Everyone you cherish will eventually leave, one way or another. Every moment you're experiencing right now is already dissolving into memory. And fighting this truth is the source of most of your suffering. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." This isn't meant to depress you, it's meant to wake you up. Because when you truly accept that nothing lasts forever, two things happen simultaneously. You stop clinging so desperately, and you start treasuring more deeply. Most people live in denial of impermanence. They pretend relationships will last forever without effort. They assume health is permanent. They believe opportunities will always be available. They treat time like an infinite resource. And then they're devastated when reality reveals the truth. Everything ends, everything changes, everything passes. But here's what's beautiful about accepting this. When you know something is temporary, you stop taking it for granted. When you know someone won't be here forever, you stop wasting moments on petty arguments. When you know this phase of life will pass, you stop rushing through it waiting for the next one. Impermanence isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. It's whispering, pay attention, be here, love fully, appreciate now. Because now is all you're guaranteed. Think about autumn leaves. They're most beautiful right before they fall. Why? Because their impermanence is visible. You can see they won't last. So, you stop and notice them in a way you never notice the leaves in summer when you assume they'll always be there. Your life works the same way. When you accept that this moment is fleeting, this day is temporary, this season will shift, you start showing up differently. With more presence, more intention, more appreciation, more love. Here's the practice that changes everything. Each morning, acknowledge 3 temporary things you're grateful for today. I'm grateful I get to see this person today, knowing our time together is limited. I'm grateful for my body's current abilities, knowing they'll change. I'm grateful for this opportunity, knowing it won't be available forever. This isn't morbid, it's honest. And that honesty makes everything more precious. When you accept impermanence, you stop trying to freeze moments. You let them be what they are, knowing they'll transform. You enjoy the season you're in instead of mourning the one that passed or rushing toward the one ahead. Your child is young. This age won't last. Instead of wishing for them to grow up faster or stay small forever, you show up fully for exactly who they are right now. Your parent is aging. Their vitality is fading. Instead of pretending nothing's changing, you treasure the time remaining. Your body is strong today. It won't always be. Instead of taking it for granted, you move it, use it, appreciate it. This acceptance doesn't create sadness. It creates urgency. Not anxious urgency, but purposeful urgency. The kind that says, this matters. This moment matters. This person matters. I won't waste this by being distracted or distant or waiting for a better time. Here's what blocks most people from accepting impermanence. Fear. Fear that if they acknowledge things will end, they'll fall apart. Fear that if they admit people will leave, they'll stop being able to love. Fear that if they face mortality, life will feel meaningless. But the opposite is true. When you accept impermanence, life becomes more meaningful, not less. Relationships become more precious, not less. Moments become more vibrant, not less. Because you're no longer diluting them with denial, you're meeting them with full awareness. Practice this meditation. Sit quietly and imagine losing something you love. Not to torture yourself, but to prepare yourself. To remind yourself of its value. To motivate yourself to appreciate it now while you have it. Then open your eyes and go appreciate it. Not someday. Today. The ancient masters practiced this regularly. They contemplated loss not from pessimism, but from wisdom. They knew that the person who accepts impermanence lives more fully than the person who pretends everything will last forever. Your heart fears impermanence because it thinks acceptance means not caring, but acceptance actually frees you to care more deeply. Because you're not wasting energy fighting reality, you're using that energy to love fully, knowing love is always temporary, and that's exactly what makes it sacred. Nothing gold can stay, no season lasts forever, no moment repeats. Accept this. Let it break your heart open. Let that broken open heart love more fiercely, appreciate more deeply, show up more fully. When you stop fighting impermanence, you stop suffering from it. You start dancing with it instead, letting each moment arrive and depart, holding everything loosely enough that you can enjoy it fully, loving knowing you'll lose, and loving anyway because that's what makes you beautifully, courageously human. Number 9. Build a character you are proud to live with. You're going to spend every single moment of your life with yourself. Every success, every failure, every high, every low, you'll be there. So here's the question that matters more than any other. Are you someone you actually respect? Seneca said, "What progress have I made? I have begun to be a friend to myself." Most people are so focused on external achievement that they neglect internal development. They build impressive resumes while their character deteriorates. They chase success while becoming people they wouldn't want to know. They win publicly while losing privately. And then they wonder why accomplishment feels so empty. Because you can't escape yourself. You can distract yourself temporarily. You can numb yourself. You can pretend. But at the end of every day, when everything gets quiet, you're alone with who you actually are. And if you don't like that person, no amount of external success will fill that void. Building character isn't about perfection. It's about direction. It's about waking up each day and asking, who do I want to be today? What values do I want to embody? What kind of person do I want to become through my choices? Here's what most people miss. Your character isn't built in grand moments. It's built in small, private choices when nobody's watching. When you choose honesty, even though lying would be easier. When you choose kindness, even though cruelty would feel justified. When you choose integrity, even though compromise would be more profitable. Those small choices compound. Every time you act in alignment with your values, you strengthen your character. Every time you betray them, you weaken it. And over time, those choices create either someone you're proud to be or someone you're ashamed to face. Start here. Define your core values, not what sounds good, not what you think you should value. What actually matters to you when everything else is stripped away. Maybe it's integrity, maybe it's courage, maybe it's compassion, maybe it's growth. Whatever it is, name it clearly. Then audit your recent actions against those values. Where are you living in alignment? Where are you betraying yourself? Where is there a gap between who you say you want to be and who you're actually being? Those gaps are where your work lives. Those are the places where you need to recommit, not through shame, but through honest acknowledgement and course correction. Here's a daily practice that builds unshakable character. Before sleep, review your day. Ask yourself 3 questions. What did I do today that I'm proud of? Where did I betray my values? What will I do differently tomorrow? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about honest assessment, celebrating growth, acknowledging missteps, committing to improvement. Every single day, you're either building character or eroding it. There's no neutral ground. Watch what happens when you prioritize character development. External validation matters less because you have internal approval. Criticism stings less because you know who you are. Temptation loses power because you've built habits of integrity. Fear has less control because you trust yourself to handle what comes. You become your own steady foundation, the person you can rely on, the one who shows up, the one who keeps promises, especially to yourself, the one who does what's right even when it's hard. This is where lasting joy lives. Not in accomplishment that impresses others, but in becoming someone you genuinely respect. Not in external markers of success, but in internal markers of growth. Not in what you have, but in who you are. Build your character like you're constructing a monument that will stand for generations, with patience, with care, with attention to every detail, because your character is the only thing you'll carry through every moment of your existence. Let your obituary be less about what you achieved and more about who you became. Let your legacy be the way you treated people when it didn't benefit you, the integrity you maintained when nobody was watching, the kindness you chose when bitterness would have been easier, the courage you embodied when fear was screaming. That's a life worth living. That's a person worth being. That's happiness that doesn't depend on circumstances because it flows from character. Number 10. Live with purpose, not passivity. You weren't born to just exist, to merely survive, to float through life reacting to whatever happens next. You were born to build something, to contribute something, to mean something. And until you claim a purpose and live for it, you'll feel that hollow ache that no distraction can fill. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What am I doing with my soul?" Ask yourself this question constantly. Most people are living on autopilot. They wake up, follow routines, respond to demands, then collapse into bed. Day after day, year after year. And somewhere deep inside, they feel it. The quiet desperation, the sense that life is passing by while they're just going through motions. That's what happens when you live reactively instead of purposefully. When you let life happen to you instead of happening to life. When you're constantly responding to other people's agendas instead of pursuing your own. Purpose isn't some grand mystical calling you need to discover through meditation on a mountaintop. It's simpler than that. It's knowing what matters to you and organizing your life around it. It's having a reason to get up that goes beyond just getting through another day. Your purpose doesn't have to change the world. It just has to change you. Maybe it's raising children with intention. Maybe it's mastering a craft. Maybe it's serving your community. Maybe it's creating beauty. Maybe it's healing others. Maybe it's building something lasting. Whatever it is, it needs to be yours, not borrowed from someone else's expectations, not inherited from family pressure, not adopted from what looks impressive. Yours, something that lights you up from the inside, something that makes effort feel meaningful instead of draining. Here's how you find it. Ask yourself, if I knew I had 10 years left to live, how would I spend them? What would suddenly matter more? What would instantly matter less? Your answers reveal your actual priorities underneath all the noise. Then ask, what breaks my heart about the world? What makes me angry about injustice? What makes me come alive when I engage with it? Your purpose often lives at the intersection of what you care about and what you're uniquely equipped to address. Once you identify your purpose, everything changes. Decisions become clearer because you have a filter. Does this align with my purpose or distract from it? Effort becomes sustainable because you're not just grinding, you're building towards something meaningful. Setbacks become bearable because you remember why you're persisting. Living with purpose doesn't mean every moment is meaningful. You'll still have mundane tasks, boring obligations, necessary drudgery. But when those things connect to a larger purpose, they feel different. You're not just washing dishes, you're maintaining a home where your family thrives. You're not just working a job, you're funding the life you're intentionally building. Start living purposefully today. Write down your purpose in one sentence. Put it somewhere visible. Let it guide your choices. When opportunities arise, measure them against it. When challenges come, let your purpose fuel your resilience. Here's what changes. You stop drifting. You stop being a passive participant in your own life. You start directing your energy intentionally. You start saying no to things that don't serve your purpose, and yes to things that do, even when they're difficult. You become someone who's going somewhere, not aimlessly wandering, not waiting for life to happen. Actively building, deliberately creating, purposefully living. And here's the beautiful part. When you live with purpose, you inspire others to find theirs. Your intentionality gives others permission to stop sleepwalking. Your commitment reminds others that life can be more than just surviving until the weekend. Purpose creates joy that achievement never could. Because achievement is external and temporary, purpose is internal and constant. It travels with you through every season. It sustains you through every difficulty. It gives meaning to every moment, even the hard ones. Stop being passive. Stop letting life drag you along. Stand up. Choose your direction. Claim your purpose. Then walk toward it with everything you have. That's where happiness lives. Not in comfort, not in ease. In meaningful struggle towards something that matters to you. You made it through all 10 lessons. But here's the truth. Information without application is just entertainment. These lessons only matter if you actually use them. You now have the blueprint for designing genuine happiness, not the kind that depends on perfect circumstances, the kind that holds through storms, the kind that deepens through difficulty, the kind that comes from who you are, not what you have. You know how to master your inner weather instead of being controlled by external conditions. You know how to reduce unnecessary desires that drain your energy. You know how to build inner strength instead of chasing outer control. You know how to honor the present moment instead of living in past regret or future anxiety. You know how to cultivate quiet courage that keeps you moving forward. You know how to practice emotional temperance that protects your peace. You know how to develop gratitude that transforms your perception. You know how to accept impermanence that makes everything more precious. You know how to build character you're proud to live with. You know how to live with purpose instead of passivity. You have everything you need. The only question remaining is, will you use it? Happiness is waiting for you, not out there in perfect circumstances. Right here in the choices you make starting today, in the perspective you choose, in the person you decide to become. This is your life, your one precious life. Don't waste it waiting for conditions to be perfect. Don't waste it building according to someone else's blueprint. Don't waste it being passive when you were meant to be powerful. Design your happiness. Build your joy. Become someone who thrives regardless of what life throws at you. That's the promise of these lessons if you actually live them. Now take action. Hit that like button so more people find this message. Drop a comment sharing which lesson resonated most deeply. Share this video with someone who needs these tools. Subscribe to this channel because we're building a community of people who refuse to be victims of circumstance. Your happiness journey begins now, not when everything is perfect. Now, build it. One choice at a time, one day at a time, one intentional moment at a time. You've got this. I want you to drop this final affirmation in the comments. I design my happiness starting now.